Hi everyone, Jameson here from monday.com. Welcome to our monday.com work management demo, a great entry into the world of Monday work management. In this demo, I will walk you through the Monday work management product, focusing on the main features and capabilities. To start, let's define what monday.com is all about. Monday.com is a work OS, or a work operating system, that powers companies and teams to manage their entire businesses from one platform. monday.com offers a range of products to suit your needs. This demo will cover what's available when you purchase the monday.com work management product, which is our customizable product for planning, managing, and visualizing your work at every level. Monday Work Management focuses on the following core use cases: project management, process management, portfolio management, goals and strategy, resource management, requests and approvals, and client projects. We also offer additional, more specific products, including Monday CRM and Monday Dev, which are sets of customizable pre-built boards and dashboards, along with unique features which support these use cases. We are also launching Monday Service, which allows support teams to deliver exceptional support experiences. This product is currently in beta and will be officially launching soon. Now let's hop right into my Monday Work Management account to take a closer look at what's available. When you first log into your Monday Work Management account, you'll be brought to a homepage that looks like this. You can also find it at any time in the top left corner of your page by clicking on the Monday Work Management logo. Now let's take a look at the Monday building blocks which you will use to manage your projects and processes. Let's start by understanding what boards are. Boards are where you manage your projects and processes and are the heart and soul of the platform. For today's demo, we'll be using the example of a marketing agency who manage multiple projects for their clients. They want to use monday.com to manage the portfolio of projects they have at any given time. Each project is managed in its own board and shared with the client. We'll begin by adding a new board, which will represent a single project they're working on for one of their clients. When it comes to adding a new board, there are a few ways that we can go about this. We have the option to add a new board by clicking Add Item to Workspace to start from scratch. You can also use a pre-made board from our template center, which you can find here. These are a great place to start if you want a basic framework to get you off the ground. We have many templates available for all types of project and process workflows. Or you can create a board out of data that you have located in external platforms such as Excel, Google Sheets, Asana, etc., by clicking on Import Data. Finally, since we're in the work management product, you can also add a new project, which will add a board built on a more structured project management approach with project status and overview. More on this later. We'll create a new board from scratch so that I can demonstrate the different building blocks you would use to build your boards. When creating a board, we need to choose the board name and the board type: main, private, or shareable. Board types are basically the access permissions set on the board level. Main boards are open and accessible to all the team members in your account. Private boards are private to you and will only be visible to specific team members that you choose to subscribe to the board. Lastly, shareable boards allow you to collaborate also with guests in your account. Guests can be like contractors, clients, or freelancers who are outside of your organization. If they're invited to a shareable board, the default is that they'll be able to edit the boards they're invited to, but can only access those shareable boards. You can also add additional permissions on the board to restrict what guests can do. We'll be covering permissions a bit later. In our example, since we're sharing with a client, we will use a shareable board. Now let's name our board Project Alpha and go through the key building blocks which make up the board. Let's start with items, or the rows in the board. Items will represent whatever you're managing in your workflow, or in other words, the entity, whether it's a task, a request, a project, etc. Since we're building this board to manage a single project, in our board, the items will represent tasks. Before we customize our items, let's talk about groups. Whenever we add a board from scratch, there will be two groups by default. Groups help to organize and categorize the items on your board. Depending on your workflow, they might represent periods of time, like weeks or months, phases of a project, locations, steps in a process, or any other way of grouping your items together. In this example, we'll split the groups by the phases of the project: kickoff, planning, execution, and delivery. So I'll add my groups here. To add a new group, I'll click Add a New Group at the bottom of my board. And to change the color of our group names, we can click on the color block next to the name of the group. Let's now edit the items within each group to represent our tasks for this project. For item 1, I'll replace that with Take Inventory of Resources. I'll replace item 2 with Update Online Presence. And then I don't need item 3 right now, so I'll delete it by clicking on the checkbox next to the item and clicking Delete at the bottom of my screen. For planning, I'll replace item 4 with Customer Acquisition Targets. And I'll replace item 5 with Content Development. That's good for now. Many times, tasks or projects can't be defined in a single item, and they may need to be broken down into smaller parts. That's where sub-items come in. These give you the ability to add an additional level of hierarchy and organization to your workflow. To add sub-items, you'll click on the arrow next to the item to expand it. You'll then be able to add in your sub-items. For example, Take Inventory of Resources can be broken down into marketing team, analyze the team that will be working on the campaign, and also current partnerships, to analyze who is currently partnering with the brand. Now that we understand the board hierarchy, let's take a look at the columns, which allow you to track different data types against each item on the board. So when you're thinking of building your workflow, you'll need to think about what sort of data you want to track and then add relevant columns to match it. Let's start by looking at the default columns, which will appear when you add a board from scratch. First, we have the People column, which is useful for assigning responsibilities and creating accountability within your team. Every time I assign someone to a task, they'll get a notification in their notification bell over here and be directed right here to the item. I'll just go ahead and assign some of my team members who will be responsible for each of these tasks for our client's project, Project Alpha. So for Take Inventory of Resources, I'll add Phoebe. For Update Online Presence, I'll add Ross. For Customer Acquisition Targets, I'll add Chandler. And for Content Development, I'll add Joey. Next, we have the Status column that provides you with a list of customizable colored labels to show the status of your items. We have 3 default labels that come with the Status column in our board template. We have Working on it, Stuck, and Done. Next, we have the Date column, which allows you to assign a date to each item. Here, we'll use it to assign a deadline for each task, and we'll edit the name of the column to reflect this. We'll change Date to Due Date. By the way, some columns have specific settings associated with them, which you can find by clicking on the 3-dot menu of any column. For example, the Date column has the Deadline Mode setting, which allows you to add a more visual way to see how long is left until the deadline, whether a task was completed on time or after. You'll be asked to connect a Status column along with a Person column, which is optional. Now I want to add a few more columns to our board by opening up the plus button here, where I can see the most used columns. I'll go ahead and add the Numbers column, which can be used to display any kind of numerical data and can be customized to represent anything you need. In our case, It will be used to display the budget of the campaign for our client's new product broken down by tasks. Once you add the budget to each item, you can also customize the currency in the column summary here by clicking on the bottom cell and choosing the label. I'll choose the dollars. Now we'll add the timeline column, which allows us to assign a start and end date for each of our tasks. This will come back into play later on in the demo when we'll be showing you the Gantt chart. And finally, I want to add a priority column onto the board, which will indicate the priority of each task. By the way, if you want to categorize your items in a different way, you also have the option to add a label column, which allows you to create a new set of labels according to your needs. And you can edit the labels by clicking Edit Labels at the bottom of the label menu. Keep in mind, we offer over 30 different column types, which can be found in the column center here by clicking on More Columns. I highly recommend checking out all of our options from here. This includes a column which allows you to set dependencies between your tasks, and AI columns allowing you to summarize or categorize information automatically. Before we finish this section about the main building blocks on a board, I also wanted to share that everything on the board, items, groups, and columns, can be moved by drag and drop. So I'll take inventory of resources and move it below Update Online Presence, and I'll move Label in front of our priority column. Also, should you decide that an item or group is no longer relevant, you can archive or delete them by clicking the menu next to that item or group. Here, I'll archive Update Online Presence, and I'll delete Customer Acquisition Targets. Keep in mind that deleted components can be restored from the trash for 30 days, and you can unarchive components indefinitely. You can find both of these sections in your profile picture. We'll go to Trash. We can click on the three-dot menu under Action to restore. We'll go into Archive, and we'll do the same for Update Online Presence. And we see that they're back on our board. If something is changed or is removed from your board, you can use the activity log over here to see what happened to it and who made the change. Now that we've set up our tasks and added all the different types of data we want to track using columns, let's look at how you'll actually be using the board to collaborate with your team. Communicating as a team in the context of your tasks is super important, as it ensures that everything's easy to find and follow. It can also help you to replace the use of email or other tools for communicating about your projects and tasks. On each item, you'll see a small speech bubble icon. This is what we call the update section. When writing an update, to make sure the right people are notified, we can @mention one of our teammates, similar to a social media mention. Or we can also choose to mention a team of users by mentioning everyone on the team or everyone on this board, along with everyone on this item. Please note that teams should be created by the admin of the account. When writing an update, you can also customize the text by using bold, underline, or you can add bullet points, attach files, and more, as you see here. Your teammates can then reply or react to an update and communicate in the same thread. Anytime you mention someone in the updates or reply, such as Ross mentioned me, they'll then be notified by default via email and within the notification bell over here. Anytime you see a red bubble, you'll know that you have a new notification to check out. You can view notifications or filter them by selecting a tab at the top, such as Unread Notifications, Notifications you were mentioned in, and notifications specifically assigned to you. You can even filter your notifications by person, meaning the person who sent it. Also, if you don't want to be stuck scrolling through your notifications to locate something specific, you can just search within the notification section right here for any keyword. And besides being notified from the bell icon, you can also see your update feed by clicking into your inbox, which you can find next to the bell notification button. From the inbox, you'll receive updates that directly mention you or your team, updates posted on boards you're invited to even if you weren't mentioned or assigned to a task, and updates on items you own or are subscribed to even if you weren't mentioned. You can then easily filter these updates by board in the left panel where you see the boards and numbers for each board update, or specifically focus on the updates you were mentioned in by clicking the @I was mentioned on the top over here. Then, once you've read the update, you can just click the check mark so that it's removed from the inbox. You can also clear all of your updates in one click from here by clicking All Updates and then clicking Mark All as Read. I'll show you later how you can customize what you're notified about and where you will see the notifications. Next, I want to introduce you to our work docs, a central place for you and your team to collaborate, brainstorm, plan, and execute. I already have a work doc set up here as a template for creating a brief for our new project. Let's also show you how to create a new one as well, which you can do by clicking Add Item to Workspace, scroll over to Doc, and then similar to boards, you'll choose a doc name and then privacy. So I'll name this Marketing Brief, and I'll choose Shareable for our particular use case. Now I'll go back to the brief template that I've already created. And just like in an update, I can also mention a team member and ask for their input before moving on directly from here. So I'll mention Joey, and I'll ask him, is there anything that I'm missing from this brief? And he'll then receive a notification within his notification bell here. The unique thing about Work Docs is that I can also embed building blocks from inside my monday.com account directly into the Work Doc itself, and the data will always show the live version of the embedded board, widget, or dashboard. We can do so by clicking Add, we'll go to More Options, we'll stay within Essentials, and we'll go over to Board. We'll then choose the board that we want reflected within our Work Doc, and in this case, it would be Project Alpha. So let's say I want to refer to my Project Alpha board when creating the brief. I can always embed it directly here so that I don't need to go back and forth. When adding a board into a doc, it will show the latest version of the board and the data is live. Okay, now let's go back to our Project Alpha board. Besides viewing and working on a board as the default table, we can utilize a range of different features to visualize the information in this board in the way that we want. First, we can choose how to group the information in our board in different ways than the grouping which was initially chosen. For example, if the board is built where groups represent phases, we might want to change the board to group items according to status, which we can do by using the Group By feature over here. We can also create drill-down versions of the board using either the basic or the advanced filters. The basic filter allows you to choose which items you see based on columns or groups, as we see here. The advanced filter, which is this drop-down arrow next to the filter button or next to the basic filter, allows you to define a more specific subset using conditions. Let's go back to our basic filters. And for example, let's look at just the tasks that are assigned to me so that I can focus on the tasks that I'm responsible for. I'm going to choose the dynamic me filter here. So this will show as the items assigned to the person who is looking at that view, so you don't need to create separate views for every team member. You can also save this as a new view by clicking this button here in the top right corner of the filters menu. And then we can rename it by clicking the three-dot menu here next to the view and click Rename. And I can call this Jameson's View. You can also remove from view any columns which are not necessary using the Hide Column feature. We'll do this by hiding the priority column. Besides using your board as a table, you also have the board views, which provide different visualization options for your data. You can find them by clicking on the plus sign or the Add View button. Here's some of our board views, and you can explore more views by clicking here. For example, let's start off by checking out the Gantt view in my project beta board. This will help us stay on track with the timeline of our tasks and the project overall to ensure there are no blockers and that we'll deliver on time. You can see the dependencies between the tasks with the arrows and the milestones as diamonds. Each view has its own settings that can be found in the top right corner by the gear icon once you click the three-dot menu. For example, here on the Gantt, we can go into our settings to customize how we want to group the Gantt, the view settings, and the color by settings, among other things. If you're used to working in the Kanban style of project management, you can also add a Kanban view and move items between the different cards, which represent the status as they progress to completion. Of course, any changes made to the status in Kanban view will reflect in the table version of the board and vice versa. For example, let's look at target markets. I want to move this to done. So now I'll go back to my main table and see that it's done. If I realize we're actually still working on it, I can just click working on it, go back to Kanban, and we see that it's back in our working on it status label. Now I'll go over to my project approvals board to show you our form view. While this is not a way to visualize data, you can also add a form view to your board or create a form first. This allows you to create a form which can be shared externally, and each submission will add a new item to the board with the columns populated according to the submitter's answers. A good example of using a form is to bring in requests. In our case, we will add a form to our project approvals board, which will allow account managers to submit client requests for new projects to the directors for approval. So for example, I can share this by clicking copy from link, or I can embed it, or choose any of these other options here. Our account managers will then fill this out. So we can do project beta 2.0. Who's proposing this project? We can just put monday.com, name of the account manager, the date range for this project, do the 18th to the 25th, and then we can write a description. I'll click submit, and then I'll go over to my main table, and I'll see that this was all populated using that form. Another way to visualize the data in the board is using the chart view to represent our data. Here we see that 60% are project proposals, 20% are projects approved but not started, and 20% are projects in progress. We'll dive deeper into the chart view when we cover reporting later in the demo. I also recommend checking out the View Center to see the full suite of views available to you, as you can see here once again. To reduce manual work and automate repetitive actions, I want to introduce you to automations. Automations allow you to automate your entire workflow using triggers, actions, and conditions. To get to the Automation Center, I click on the Automate button here in the top right corner of my screen, and this will take me to the Automation Center. From there, I can choose from predefined automation templates or create my own custom automation using conditions. Let's check out one of our ready-made automations. As you see here, our ready-made templates are split into different categories on the left. I'll choose from our notifications category. So I'm going to use when any update is posted, notify someone. So the way that our automations work is that we have a trigger and we have an action. So in this case, when any update is posted is our trigger, and that's now triggering a notification to be sent to someone. So I'll click on notify here. So this grayed out word means that I can click on it and edit. So I'm just going to write, hey, project manager, there has been an update posted on, and then the item name. And here I'll notify the project manager. So anybody that leaves an update, it will then go back to the project manager so they can keep track of what's going on with their specific task. So if we see here for content development, I'm the project manager. There's been an update. This is overdue, posted by Ross Geller. There was no tag for me, but if I go into my notifications, I see here that Ross Geller wrote an update on an item you're subscribed to. And I also see, hey, Jameson Henson, there's been an update on content development. And I can click on that and it brings me over to our to the update section. Now let's check out another automation example to see how it works to create our own. So what I'll do is I'll go back to our automation center and I'll click on add custom automation. I can also go over here and click add automation. So board automations, and I can click add automation. So let's say we want the project manager to be notified as soon as a task is done, so they can make sure the owner of the dependent task starts to work, but we don't want to rely on the team to update the PM every time. So we can add automation when the status changes to something, notify someone. I also want to add in a condition, which I can do so by clicking on the plus sign next to the trigger. So for this example, I can choose when the item is in a specific group. So let's say when the chat status changes to something and only if the item is in the kickoff group, then we'll notify the PM. So now I'll click on the underline field so that I can choose the exact parameters that I want to set in order for the automations to work. So I'll choose my status, changes to done. And here I can choose from specific parameters inside my board. So for example, since I want to tell the project manager that a certain task is done, I can choose to show the owner of the task and task name as part of the notification to give more specific details. So I can write, hey, project manager, item's name has been marked as, and then I'll put the item status. I'll choose the people column and the project manager, and I'll create the automation here. So let's go over to take inventory of resources where I'm a project manager. I'll then switch the status to done, and I should then receive a notification within my notification bell that tells me that this item has been marked as done. So we see here, it just popped up. Hey, Jameson Henson, take inventory of resources has been marked as done. Automations can work to automate actions within monday.com, or they can be used to integrate between Monday and your other tools. Integrations are available with communication platforms like Slack, Gmail, Outlook, Microsoft Teams, and other platforms such as Jira, Salesforce, and Figma. You can check out our integrations within our Integration Center by clicking Integrate. Finally, if you're looking to build more complex automated workflows, or you feel like you would like to visualize multi-step automated workflows, we recommend checking out our workflow builder, which you can find right here in the top right corner of our screen. And here you can build out a workflow. So before discussing reporting in monday.com, I want to make a quick mention about our new portfolio solution, which is available on our enterprise plan. The portfolio solution creates template project boards and will automatically connect all of the project board items to its parent item on the portfolio board. In addition, the portfolio board offers an overview analysis of each project and helpful built-in visuals. Here we see my test portfolio with my test project that is attached here. I can also go over to the test project board and see that here. Let's now move on to reporting in monday.com. You can build reports either on a board level, which will take data from that board by adding a blank view, as we can see here on my Project Alpha board. I'll click Add View and then Blank View. Or you want to report on data from multiple boards, you can add a dashboard from the left pane. To add a dashboard, click the Add button and select New Dashboard. I won't be building a dashboard live with you today, but I'll show you a dashboard that I already have set up in my account, which is called Marketing Campaign Projects Overview. In the dashboard, you can connect multiple boards here by clicking on this button where you see two connected boards, and then add various widgets to display your data from all of these boards, which you can do by clicking Add Widget. So on my board, you can see I have the workload widget, which allows me to manage my resources by seeing the split of tasks across my team throughout the connected boards. I also have a projects overview, which shows the current status and progress along with the dates of my current projects that are connected to the dashboard. Along with that, I have the overall projects battery, which shows me the overall status that is split up between done, working on it, stuck, not started, and empty across my projects. One of the most important tools for reporting is a chart view on a board level or chart widget on a dashboard level, which is what I have here. The chart allows you to choose from a variety of chart styles in order to visually display specific metrics. In my case, I'm using the chart to show how much of each project is assigned to my specific team members. I can click on the three-dot menu in the right corner of the widget and click on Settings to choose from different chart types, such as a pie chart, which is what I have here, a bar chart, we have a line chart, stacked bar, and bubbles, just to show a few. I'll go back to my pie chart and I'll choose the settings to show me what I had visually displayed here. So I have my project manager as the labels. So I am going to choose 1 by 1 to count my items in a percentage. We have more settings, which is showing the value. I can choose between value or percent. This is where you choose the boards to display on the widget and then the groups to display for each board. As we start building more and more boards, dashboards, workdocs, and more, it will be important to keep them organized. Let's look at the tools which will help us to create order in our account, starting with workspaces. You can find your workspace by clicking on the drop down here, and then we can click Browse All to see all of our workspaces. Workspaces allow you to have different dedicated sections of your account. You can use workspaces for team, company, department, project, or client, while allowing everyone to work in one account. Once you've selected your workspace, we can also add folders. So to add folders, we'll click Add Item to Workspace, and then we'll click Folder. Folders help organize our boards within the workspace. So I'll move my Project Alpha, Project Beta, Project Approvals, and my Project Overview dashboard into my folder. Inside folders, you can also add more folders to keep things even more organized or just your boards. So I'll add another folder here. I'll move that within my projects folder. You can rename your folders as well by clicking on the three-dot menu and click Rename Folder. We can also favorite a board by selecting the star icon, and it will be easily accessible from your favorites section, which you can find by clicking on the drop down in your workspace and click Favorites. And here we see Project Alpha. To easily switch between boards, dashboards, or workspaces, you can press Command B or Control B on a PC, and the quick search will open up where you can easily search for what you need. And lastly, I'm excited to show you the My Work area, where you can manage all of your tasks across all of your products in one place, which is right under the Home section of the menu on the left-hand side. You can easily see all of your tasks across all boards, listing in chronological order depending on how you've customized your settings, which you can find up here. Finally, before we finish, if you click on your avatar up here on the top right-hand side, you'll be able to find the admin section, profile preferences, developer section, and so much more. One super important piece I want to point out to you is each user's own profile section, which you can find under Account and by clicking My Profile. From here, they can easily set up some account details so that it suits them best. One of the most important aspects is the notifications section, where each user can adjust how and when they would like to receive notifications. So if you see here, you can get notified in Monday by email, you can add Slack, and you can also enable desktop notifications. Additionally, if you're the admin of the account, you can click into administration from your profile avatar and easily navigate some of the important account level settings related to user management, billing details, security details, and more. So what now? I hope you've enjoyed this tour of the main features available on the Monday Work Management product. This is definitely just the beginning though. If you're looking to build your own workflow from scratch, we recommend taking the Building Workflows in monday.com course in the Monday Academy, which you can see here. So by clicking Get Started, you'll find the Building Workflows in monday.com. Here you can learn about our methodology for building workflows successfully. To find out more about what you've learned here today, I highly encourage you to head to our Help Center. So go back to our board and we'll click on the question mark in the top right corner. Here you'll have a few options. You can use the search to search for a specific aspect, such as automations, and you'll see all the resources across all of our support channels. You can also click on our knowledge base, which is where you'll find articles and tutorial videos on specific features. You can click on our community page, which is where you can get inspiration and help from other Monday power users. And you can also go over to our Academy, which I showed earlier, which is where you'll find more support on building out your workflows and where you can deep dive into some of our more advanced features through on-demand courses and webinars. And of course, you're always welcome to talk to us via our 24/7 chat. We're available to answer your questions. You can do so by clicking Contact Us, click Live Chat, and you can start a chat here. Thank you very much for watching this demo, and we hope to see you on the platform soon.